Two big trials here on Court TV. The second trial taking place in Georgia. This is the case involving three men who are on trial for murder, facing life in prison. Father and son, Travis and Gregory McMichael, and their neighbor, William Roddy Bryan. They are accused of chasing Ahmaud Arbery, a young man who was running through their neighborhood, chasing him in their pickup trucks, confronting him, and then shooting him. Middle of the day. Middle of the day. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Julie Janae, who joins us in Brunswick, Georgia tonight with all the latest. A lot of arguments today in court. They're opening statements tomorrow, so they have a lot of things they got to deal with. One of them is the probation status of Ahmaud Arbery. What did the judge decide there?
The judge decided that he does not have a decision yet. He is going to take that under advisement. This was a question from the state asking for the judge to say that the defense cannot get into Ahmaud Arbery's probation status at the time of his death, saying it's not relevant. It's the same as the issue the judge already excluded, where they didn't want his background, his arrest history to come in. Judge already said, yes, that can come in, not relevant. But the defense says this is different. His probation status, they say, goes to what he was thinking when he was running. Take a listen to that argument in court.
The state has consistently, in all pretrial motions and comments on this case, and I anticipate will do so again tomorrow in opening statement, and throughout the case when they call witnesses to talk about Mr. Arbery's penchant for running, will characterize that running as motivated by a desire for health, exercise, pleasure, and so forth. Mr. Arbery's status on probation provides a reasonable alternative view, a reasonable alternative belief that can be formed, that we could argue, well, Mr. Arbery's running because he's on probation. He's been spotted at the least trespassing. At the worst, back in the house he'd been in 4 previous times where burglaries had occurred, in a neighborhood where other burglaries and break-ins had occurred.
Again, the judge taking that under advisement, the defense saying if the state is going to say that he was out for a Sunday jog, then they should be able to give that alternative reason for why he was running that day.
Okay, let's talk about Travis McMichael's truck and the license plate on the front of that truck. We've seen it on the body cam video. It depicts the old Georgia state flag, which includes a portion of which was the Confederate flag, the stars and bars. What were the arguments today on whether or not the jury is going to see that?
The state, they say, look, it's something that he was proud of. He put it on his vehicle. They did not put it there. And they didn't talk about whether or not they were going to highlight it, which is what the defense is worried about. They don't want this that we're showing on our screen right now being shown to the jury. But we know if the jury watches the body camera footage, they are going to see it. The defense wants that taken out. They want it blurred because they say that it could be prejudicial and inflammatory for this jury to see it. They've already asked these jurors, a lot of them, whether or not they think that that symbol is a racist symbol and goes to any of the motivations. But the state says they're not trying to use it for any kind of motive as far as racial animus, but they say it can go to motive in some way. So right now, again, the judge is going to take that under advisement. But for both of these two issues, he's going to tell them before they get started with opening statements. But here's how Dunikoski explained why it should be allowed to stay in the body camera footage.
The fact of the matter is that this is something Travis McMichael put on the front of his truck. He wanted the world to know this. He put it out there to see people, for people to see him driving around with this particular plate on the front of his truck. A little disingenuous at this point to ask that it be blurred out as if somehow it's not relevant to this case. And it is relevant to this case because there comes a point that's in Mr. Bryan's video where Mr. Arbery is running down the road on Holmes. The white truck is coming toward him. At that point, he turns around and runs back past Mr. Bryan's truck. This happens at the blue mailbox. So the defense, of course, is going to argue, well, there's no evidence he saw it. Well, he turned around for some reason. Whether he saw that on the front of the truck or not, he was looking at the truck, and that's what's on the front of the truck. So at this point in time, we ask that you deny this motion because this is a choice Travis McMichael made. It would be as if he chose to put on a T-shirt that had the Confederate flag on the front of it and then somehow wanted us to blur that out. That was his choice of clothing that day. This is a choice of something he put on his car to advertise to the world as he drove around in Brunswick. And we do have circumstantial evidence that Mr. Arbery did see the front of this truck because when the white truck is coming toward him, Mr. Arbery turns around and starts running back past Mr. Bryan. We ask that you deny the motion.
The judge will tell them that tomorrow, hopefully before opening statements start, so they can know whether or not to include it. But he did bring up the point that it either has to be one way or the other. Either we can talk about what was in Ahmaud Arbery's mind or we can't. So we have two different sides, the state and defense, wanting different things as far as the probation status and the Georgia flag, really thinking about what was possibly in Ahmaud Arbery's mind that day.